This is Fallout 4, with nearly 400 mods working in tandem to transform the original post-apocalyptic world into an even crazier nuclear wasteland. It's absolutely insane what can be done to this nearly 8-year-old game, and it's turned it into something new and really fun to play. The mods replace everything from the UI and textures to entire character models and weapons, while also adding a unique quest line and even NPCs. And just as impressive as the game looks with all of these mods installed, the crazier part is that it was basically a one-click process to install all of them. Well, sort of. Mod packs themselves are nothing new, and in the last few years they've become more and more automated thanks to dedicated modders and communities supporting them. If you're into, say, Skyrim modding, you've probably downloaded plenty of mod lists in the past that bundled several mods together in a single install. For this video, I used Wabbajack to install the Lost World mod list, making what could have been an insane process take, well, less time. In fairness, it still took me quite a while to download, install, and configure everything, but otherwise doing these kinds of crazy mod combos would be next to impossible. And bam! Fallout 4 is now a radically improved looking game with tons of amazing new content and features. The Lost World mod pack puts a much bigger emphasis on survival, ammo is more scarce, crafting is more realistic and toned down, combat feels far more realistic, and visually it's actually stunning considering Bethesda's now ancient creator engine. And since Fallout launched back in 2015, games have gone through multiple generations of ray tracing, engines have exploded with photorealistic assets and creation tools, and the hardware running it all has improved massively. So seeing some of the shots in this video stack up so closely to a modern game like, say, the upcoming Stalker 2, well, it's impressive, to say the least. Now, Lost World comes in two flavors, one called Stalker and another one called Metro. Both are based on their respective franchises. The Stalker version is what I'm playing right now. It's already dramatically different from the base game, but the Metro version is even more of a radical departure. It features a winter theme, has more hardcore survival elements, and is overall more of a shift towards a different type of game. I do prefer the Stalker version because it offers more variety visually while also reining in some of the more brutal aspects of the mods included. Now, if you ever played, say, Stalker, you'll know that it's a very hardcore experience, and this is no different. In the time that I played so far, I've had to scrounge for just enough ammo even to get through low-level enemies, I've died to severe injuries after surviving combat, and I've gotten blown away by radiation anomalies or storms that I couldn't even tell what it was. It's way more hardcore than vanilla Fallout, to say the least, and I love it. Most enemies go down with a well-placed headshot, and the randomness of the old VAT system is gone forever. Proper stealth gameplay is also possible now. You don't have to rely on crouch for sneak attack critical hits. Power armor also feels like actual power armor since you're so fragile without it. Normally you can only take a few shots before going down, and healing isn't as simple as just popping a stim mid-combat. You basically have to get out of the action and apply the proper type of first aid, and it takes a while. So when you get power armor in this, it actually makes a pretty big difference. But the biggest gameplay change for me is the amount of resources you'll find while scavenging. Vanilla Fallout 4 practically throws free ammo, healing items, and food at you every time you open a random toolbox or search a dead body. Lost World will have you counting your rounds before every mission to make sure that you have enough to finish it. It's a small change, but with massive consequences for that survival feel. Now visually, Lost World isn't technically superior to the overall game when you're looking at things like lighting and texturing, but it's very different and it adds to the immersion. Fallout 4 has this optimistically bright aesthetic to it during the daytime, which might seem a little odd considering that it's supposed to be depicting a world that's barely habitable for human life. Would the paint on cars still look vibrant? Lost World exchanges that bright optimism with rundown despair. Very much in line with the Stalker franchise. Now, to be clear, Lost World does still feel like a Fallout game. It's still got the same sort of floaty weapon handling, most of the inventory management is pretty much the same, and your items like food and stim packs tend to do the same things. but it adds the core experience with a different visual style and more hardcore gameplay that actually tests your abilities to manage your inventory in combat. And that's pretty much what I was looking for when I set out to try modding the game, and I'm really happy that there was an existing mod list that hit the nail on the head. One of my favorite things about this update is that it takes a game that gave you obscure reasons to explore places and replaces it with hardcore survival mechanics. Lost World makes exploration basically the only way you can survive. You have to go out of your way and check pretty much every nook and cranny for ammo and healing resources. It gives actual purpose to all the random little buildings, camps, and containers littering the world. It might not take many shots to kill most enemies, but you have precious few bullets to spare most of the time. Lost World changes up and adds a lot of combat encounters as well. It adds traditional zombies that are much more human than Fallout's classic ghouls. The wildlife is more intrusive, and it's rare that enemies will give you a chance to talk things out before they just start shooting. Even Fallout 4's more wacky enemies, like the hermit crabs using delivery vans as shells, are taken to new heights. This isn't just another wild animal to deal with, it's basically a mini-boss. The density and variety of enemies added to the game really opens up the world to feel much more inhabited and dangerous. And in addition to that, nighttime is actually quite dark and hard to navigate. You really can't see without a flashlight. The sounds of zombies and wild animals infects you with a true sense of dread and paranoia. It's genuinely scary wandering the wasteland when the sun goes down, and that can be hard to achieve in a lot of games. Vanilla Fallout 4 never even came close to this. Now, if you're new to Fallout 4, I don't think I'd recommend starting off with a mod pack like Lost World. It certainly won't hold your hand as you learn the game, and it'll be easy to get stuck at a bad autosave where you have no chance of surviving an encounter. But if you've played tons and tons of Fallout 4 already, Lost World tweaks and adds enough to make it fresh once again, and certainly worth playing even 8 years later. Familiar enemy encounters will have new rogue elements to them, and just the fact that you can't loot or craft your way into a glut of resources adds a new layer of complexity that's pretty fitting. Now, of course, modders can only do so much. The mods for Fallout 4 feel more like filters or DLC rather than their own games. And really, that is generally the nature of modding. It can massively extend and reimagine an existing game, but creating an entirely new game that feels like a direct sequel or its own thing can be much harder to do with mod tools. As much as I wish Fallout 4 could be something like, say, STALKER 2, no amount of mods are going to make that happen. Nonetheless, mods have made entire franchises way more popular than they ever would have been, and without question, it's a mutually beneficial thing to offer mod support. Now, I'm practically vibrating with anticipation for STALKER 2, and a lot of that hype comes from the incredible work that modders have done to retrofit the old STALKER games into exceptionally challenging and visually impressive experiences today. STALKER Anomaly practically rivals Tarkov in its depth and hardcore mechanics. So I'm really hoping that STALKER 2 gets mod tools on par with what we've gotten with the older titles. If people can do what they've done with Fallout 4 and the STALKER games to the new STALKER 2, then we're in for a truly incredible experience. What do you guys think? Have you played any of the many Fallout 4 mods? If so, do you have any other mod pack recommendations? And next up, check out this video showing just what mods have done for this milsim shooter. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.